Hello, my name is Seamus Carmichael. I first met Padraic Fiacc in the early 1980s when I had just graduated from art school. I was putting together a project uh, as an application for a Northern Ireland Arts Council grant. My idea was that I would get together a portfolio of poems by established Northern Irish poets and have that distributed to folks like myself who had just graduated from the printmaking department at the College of Art in Belfast. And it was going to be a young printmakers and poetry portfolio. Uh, so I had contacts with the folks in literature at Northern Ireland Arts Council, people like Frank Ormsby and John Montague and a host of fairly well known Northern Irish poets, including Heaney, Fiacc, um, Michael Longley, folks like that. And they all volunteered poems for me to work with. The poems that I personally related to most of that batch of poets were the ones by Fiacc. He had given me some of his early work, poems from Woe to the Boy, which, according to him, had not been formally published but had won a Bank of Ireland prize back in the late 50s and had languished in their vaults. And he let me have those. The ones that really struck me at the time were poems like Winter on His Bride to Be, Spring a Child, which I became obsessed with, and went on to make various drawings and so on. Long story short, that particular project fell through. It was not funded by Arts Council, but it gave me access to Fiacc. When I first met him, he was living in a very dilapidated state in a very dilapidated flat along Cromwell Road. He was a an odd character. I had seen him before at receptions for exhibitions in the Octagon Gallery, for example, on Lower Crescent, and he had struck me as one of those who was more likely to be seen enjoying the alcohol served at the event than he would have been, um, looking at the art. Um, when I got to actually talk to him there, I was struck by the kind of peculiarities of his uh, personal affect. Um, he most reminded me of the American entertainer of that time, Liberace. He had a very kind of um, camp sounding American accent with lots of affectations and so on. And I found him an entertaining character, but very serious about the work he was doing. And he had just gotten the Aistana Award at that stage. Um, the following year, I was awarded the Northern Ireland Rome Prize. And for my project, when I went to the British School at Rome, I decided to make a series of prints based on Padraic Fiacc's poems. Now, the ones that he wanted me to work on first were the ones that were currently on his soon to be published list. And these were the poems that he called his Misa Terribilis, which was a lot of reflections on the troubles and how it was affecting people in the north of Ireland back in those days in the 1980s. And he gave me three poems from that series to work on. The three that I made pictures from were Introit, Agnus Dei, and Fetus Papipacius. Three poems that expressed his feelings about being a father in the midst of the Troubles. Agnus Dei covers that. The general situation of folks caught up in the violence of the time, a bomb going off at the gasworks, which is the setting for Introit. And finally, Fides Papipacius, which examines the murderous twins that we are, envisioning the Catholic and Protestant communities um, sitting in out of waiting for the bomb to go off. As he put it, we were the murderous twins in time's womb. And again, that was a poem that was written in reaction to Michael Hartnett's comment about, for the poet, there is no war. What has murder and torture to do with us? For the poet, there is no war. So those were the first of that particular series. I chose to treat them in a kind of an ecclesiastical manner. I used the red, gold, and black color scheme, such as you would find in a Catholic missal. And then the other poems, which personally appealed more to me, were very much poems influenced by the Celtic twilight and very Yeatsian in their general language and more nature imagery and stuff like that. The poems of that series that I illustrated when I was in Rome were trying to study philosophy, Winter on His Bride to Be, Spring a Child, Bridget's Day, and 10th Century Invasion. And then after I came back from Rome and emigrated to the United States, when I was living in Philadelphia, I created 2 more lithographs which were based on Fiacc poems. Master Clay, which talks about his experiences in the seminary in New York, where he briefly thought of becoming a priest, and the one that's among my favorites of that group of poems, Master or Making Poems, which kind of personifies the poet on a beach throwing baskets into the sea, waiting for the waves to smash them up, waiting for a seashell ear to hear its bell tone note, the laugh cry of some traveling man making mud towers in the sand. His imagery there I really liked, and that whole idea that you make a poem for it to be torn apart by the reader, the listener, and so that was the final one of his pieces that I did. What I'm going to do in the rest of this little video clip is to read those poems and to give you a look at what I was doing visually to try and create a conversation between the written word and the visual.